I am delighted to be in the most beautiful shop in Cheltenham this morning, talking to Rebecca Maguire from Wildflower and the creator, along with Carl, of the Subday letter project. Rebecca, hi.
Hello.
Thank you for taking the time.
No problem at all.
Because you've got baby in arms, haven't you? And
I do, yes. Hopefully she'll stay asleep for a bit.
but it's just great to chat with you, and I was so grateful for you to give me your time, just purely because I think not only is this shop absolutely fantastic, but what you're creating with the Subday letter project, which we'll come on to, is just everything. I think people really need it.
Thank you.
So first of all, just tell me a little bit about you. So you haven't always lived in Cheltenham.
No, I haven't.
So take me back.
Yeah, so I grew up in Amersham, Buckinghamshire, and I lived there until I was about 11, and then we moved up to Nottingham, and then so I did my senior school in Nottingham. I went to Warwick for university, where I did philosophy, and then back to Nottingham for my postgrad, which I did a law conversion and then the LPC. So I was kind of gearing up to be a solicitor, and I got a training contract in Cheltenham. So that's what brought me to Cheltenham. So for 2 years, I worked as a trainee solicitor, and just fell in love with Cheltenham and the place. And whilst I did enjoy law, by the end of the 2 years, I had already started this little kind of side business, which was based on my illustrations, creating greetings cards, which was something I'd always done for fun, really. I'd always made birthday cards for my friends and my family, and it kind of grew gradually, but almost accidentally on the side. And as it so happened, Carl trained as a teacher, so he was doing his teacher training and then his kind of early qualifying years of teaching. And as it happened, when we moved here, he kind of was having thoughts as well about what he wanted to do, and we'd been travelling as well, which I think gave us a new perspective on everything. And so he actually left his teaching job first and gave kind of running the business full time a little try. And by the end of my training contract, we had this decision, do we really give this a good go and see what we can make of it, or do we kind of carry on in our sensible jobs that will definitely pay the mortgage kind of thing? So we chose the former. We thought, let's just give it a go. We can always go back to our sensible jobs, but let's see what happens. And that was about 12 years ago, not looked back. So.
And that was when Wildflower Illustrations sort of came alive and became
definitely.
Your business.
Yeah.
So you and Carl didn't meet in Cheltenham.
No.
So it was way before that. So take me back.
That's a whole other story and quite a good one. But it was a holiday romance.
Oh, lovely.
So Carl's from Jersey, and my best friend from school always used to go on holiday to Jersey. And she'd actually been over that summer already. And so she kind of knew lots of people. They always did barbecues on the beach. It's this really kind of nice place to hang out. And she knew some of the locals already. And so when we were waitressing in weddings over a university summer, and we were kind of, I remember we were just sort of bored stiff and just didn't think we had waitressing another wedding in us. We said, should we just take a week off and go and do something fun? And she said, I know people in Jersey, why don't we book a campsite, go? So that was the Sunday, and we booked flights for the Tuesday, and we just went. And I met Carl on the first day, and a week later we were just like, well, this is inconvenient. We seem to have sort of fallen in love with each other, and we live in a totally different place. But at that point he was studying in Brighton, which isn't a million miles away from Warwick. No. So we kind of did a couple of years of long distance, and then that's how that all began.
That's lovely, isn't it? So you made the move to Cheltenham together.
Yes, yeah, we did, and that was kind of one of the things. Actually, he was from Jersey, I was from Nottingham. Neither of us kind of felt really tied to settle down in either of those places. So we thought, let's choose. It means that we can choose somewhere new and start afresh.
It's beautiful here. I mean, I just love it.
Yeah.
And I've come a long way to come to your shop. Yeah. I'm in Buckinghamshire, where you grew up, early years, but I think is such a special place.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fact that you've created this writing project here, you know, when the literature festival is just booming,
exactly.
and
just down the road from where all the Lit Fest happens, which is really nice. It's kind of, you know, minutes, and we've had authors come to the shop before, and it's just it seems to work really well.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for those people that obviously can't see this shop, it's well worth stopping by, because I mean, you hand create everything in here, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
And there's paper and cards and envelopes and stamps, and it's just got the old-fashioned desks and chairs. It's just like going back in time in the best possible way. That's
we always kind of, right from the beginning where we started imagining the shop, I wanted it to kind of be this a place away from reality. Kind of, it could feel like you were stepping into a different world. And really early, another nice story actually is you mentioned the old writing desk. So when way back to the story of the shop, actually, because that's a nice one. We were working, so for the first kind of 10 years of the business, we were working originally from the second bedroom of our flat, and then when we had our first daughter, we found a kind of barn studio out in the Cotswolds, which was a beautiful place to work, a really inspiring, a lovely drive to work through the countryside. But we outgrew it, and when we outgrew it, we were kind of looking at another one out in the countryside, quite similar, but I was again quite serendipitously walking along. Alba was not in preschool that day because she was poorly, and I just thought, well, let's get outside and I'll make the most of it. We'll get some fresh air. And so I was walking her along in the pushchair, and I walked past the shop, and this shop is on our way to town from our house. So we have been walking past it and kind of saying, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a shop of our own one day? And it's got a classic shop window, so we have kind of daydreamed about this shop for a while, especially because it used to be in some form a stationery shop. It was kind of more of a copying and lots of kind of more traditional formal stationery, but it's always had, you know, pens and Pritt sticks in the window. And so we were walking past it, and I saw a to let sign in the window, and I immediately called Carl and said, Carl, there's a to let sign in our shop, you know, the one that we were talking about. And he said, go in now. And I said, I've got Alba. And he said, yeah, that's fine, just go in, talk to him, find out, just tell him that you know, that we might be interested. And we were about to sign the lease on the other place that we'd been looking at, and something had held us back, so we were kind of stalling on this anyway. And then so I walked in and I told him, and he said, yeah, I'm glad you told me. I've got a couple of people interested, but you know, I like the sound of you. I like the fact that it would be paper still. So yeah, we managed to get in there just in time. I think if we'd left it half an hour, we might not have done. But yeah, so that was how this became our shop. But right back then, when we were looking around it, it looked very different to how it does now, and we knew that we'd need to do a lot of work to kind of make it how we wanted. But I obviously, as a creative, I started a Pinterest board. Yeah. So I went home before anything was sorted. I went home and I started a Pinterest board, and one of the really early pictures that I pinned was an almost identical desk to the one upstairs.
Really?
And I just kind of had this idea of this, you know, cute old world kind of mahogany furniture, a kind of somewhere that feels a bit like your grandma's or your grandpa's kind of writing desk. And
it feels like that. It really does, yeah.
And I pinned that picture, and I kind of thought, you know, I'm probably not going to be able to find a writing desk that beautiful, but you know, something like that. And then a couple of days later, we came into the shop, signed the lease, got the keys, and once I'd got the keys, I walked back down the road, further down the road, and there's an antique shop called the Orangery, and I just thought, I'll just pop in and say hi. You know, they're going to be one of our shop neighbours. Walked in, and the desk was just sitting there, right, ready for me to take it. And the lady couldn't believe the story either, and well, I was kind of so excited about it and enthusing over it. And she gave it to us for half price as well, because I'm not sure we would have been able to scrape it together otherwise. But yeah, so that was just an amazing story as well, and it just kind of felt like this feeling that we were on the right path.
I think stories make the world go round, and just, we haven't even got on to the letter project, but I think that's lovely. And I've got a real element of like trusting in timing, even about today. Things happen, and if you do trust, things and experiences open up to you if you're brave enough to take that step. So you signed the lease and got the shop, and then there's the next thing waiting. And even Pinterest, with vision boards and visualizing,
imagining it and bringing it into the world. I'm a big believer in that. As well.
Just like the energy, feeling that, and then there it is. And now look, you've got this dream shop. Aside from everything else, I mean, it's just a pocket of magic, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is where the letter project started. I don't think we would have had the letter project had we not had this real shop where we had conversations with people, and the shop allows you a window into people's worlds, and that's how we realised that this is what people were craving. It's it's nothing's by accident. It's all kind of come together in the right time.
Well, I think conversations are everything. That's how I fell into the radio and why I've got such a passion for just having conversations with people, because you learn and you get an insight, and I think people need the space to hear it, to be able to do the same thing.
Definitely.
Which is kind of what I was so passionate to come here. Not only do I love this, but I just thought this just feels amazing. It just felt amazing. I didn't even really know what it was to start with.
That's lovely to hear.
But have you always loved like writing and reading? I mean, you're obviously hugely creative and everything you make here is amazing, but has writing and reading always been a massive thread of your life?
Definitely. I mean, I really credit my parents in instilling that love. I mean, my mum used to read me poetry books all the time. I still kind of know one of the poems that she used to read me completely off by heart.
Which is it?
Custard the Dragon, the tale of Custard the Dragon.
Do you want to read
quite
it?
A niche one. Custard the Dragon had big sharp teeth, and with spikes on the top of him and scales underneath, mouth for a fireplace, chimney for a nose, and really, truly, daggers on his toes. And it's about Custard the Cowardly Dragon. It's just a lovely story, but still remember that. And words have always kind of been really important to me, and a way of expressing myself. Quite early on, I had a great uncle who was an artist, and he used to write to me and encourage me to kind of keep painting, keep drawing. He used to say, draw a little every day. That was his advice to me. So he knew that I loved art, but he just kind of said, you don't have to do anything great or grand. You just have to kind of keep drawing every day, and you will get better. So he used to send me these amazing packages, not particularly often, but I remember them so clearly, that he would have this kind of the scrawl of his handwriting, and he'd quite often wrap the package in brown paper and string, and sometimes it would have some of his old sketches in. He'd been planning an oil painting, and he'd include some of the sketches. So I have that really kind of visceral memory of the pure excitement of a letter or a parcel coming through the post. And then a bit later on, in my teen years, we went to my aunt's wedding in the Cayman Islands, and I met a second cousin there who happened to be an almost identical age to me, but she lived in the States, so we'd never met before. And we kind of hatched this plot to become pen pals, and we kept that up through our teen years. And so I remember the pure excitement of kind of seeing one of her colourful envelopes with, she'd scored all over them in colourful gel pens and added stickers, and it was just, we were living such different lives, but we had so much in common and so much excitement to share through this medium of writing. And that was where I guess the love began. But then when I did philosophy, but I also did my university allowed you to do some modules in something different. So I did some creative writing in my second year, and instead of, I managed to get out of a philosophy dissertation and write 30 pages of poetry instead.
Oh, so lovely.
So one of my good friends from the creative writing course, we've always written to each other, whether that's been kind of long emails or long letters at certain points. And I think there's something really magical about that long form content compared to just, sending a friend a text and having this quick exchange. When you actually, do this one-sided monologue of what's everything that's going on, I think that really allows you to kind of bring out the meaning in our lives, and actually sometimes you don't even know what you're going to write until you start writing it. And that's the really powerful thing about putting pen to paper. I think that you don't almost know what's going to come out, but whatever's in your head will find its way onto the page.
Yeah, I know. I think it's so powerful because you're really giving yourself time to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And it keeps us connected.
Yeah,
you know, like with your cousin and just that pen pal thing. It's keeping human connection going, which is what's being lost. And people want human connection. They want to see people and hear people and feel people's words and emotions so they don't feel alone.
Exactly.
And through writing, I mean, what a gift.
Yeah.
And then that's what's being born through the Subday Letter Project.
Definitely.
So tell me were you sat at home one evening, had a conversation, like how on earth did this form?
So this formed over a year and a half ago. And it took us a really long time to actually bring it into being. And we'd go through phases of both being really excited about it and wanting to get it out into the world, but then also knowing that it wasn't quite ready yet. And again, we were kind of trusting the timing, and then I was pregnant for a while and we didn't feel like the right time. But essentially the idea for the project began because so many people come into our shop and say, oh, it's such a shame that no one writes letters anymore. It's a dying art, it's a lost art. And people say this, and quite often, you know, our first kind of response is, well, actually, it's not completely lost art. Lots of people do come in and write letters. It is still happening. It's not commonplace. It's not part of our everyday lives, but it does happen. But actually, I think we then realised that wasn't really the best answer. People were mourning a loss of something, and we kind of thought, well, I think we've got it in our power to change that. And even if it is happening and some people are still writing, we're not writing enough. We're not writing enough. And I think we didn't realise when you know, collectively, we as humans, when we moved to digital communications, it felt so exciting and so much kind of newness and so many new horizons to be kind of found, that I think we didn't realise what we were losing at the same time. And I think digital communication is being fragmented. Even early emails were fine. You know, those were long-form content, and there's nothing inherently, you know, worse about typing than writing. You've got typewriters, and I think that, you know, it's still a way of an outpouring of kind of what you're feeling. But there is definitely something magical about pen to paper, but I think it's over time that it's just got shorter and shorter. So it kind of started, you know, we had the email, and emails which were probably shorter than letters, and then it moved to kind of instant messages and then texts, and I think it's just gradually kind of been lost. And the project is kind of about rediscovering that and recognising actually we have got to a point where nobody particularly enjoys our online lives. Everything's online, but everyone is becoming a little bit fed up with it. However much you love, you know, technology and can get excited about certain aspects of it, it's amazing for some things. It's an incredible tool. It allows a lot of things to happen that wouldn't otherwise be possible, and that is amazing. But it's not the right forum for some things, and I just think the forum for, you know, memories and hopes and dreams is in ink, not pixels. And that's what the project's about. It's kind of about encouraging people to go back to ink at least some of the time. We're not saying throw your devices away, only talk to your family by letter. It's about just setting a little bit of time aside. And so we kind of, as the project came into being, it kind of started off in a car journey, which is quite often where we have our good conversations, especially as parents. Yeah. The girls are probably asleep, or well,
you've got a pocket of time.
Yeah, exactly. And also you're not distracted. You're both kind of thinking clearly. And so that's where it started. And I think the name, the Subday Letter Project, came to us quite early on, and we really liked that. And we're like, Sunday already feels like a natural time for writing and for slowing down and for reflecting. And having that pause. And then so we thought, well, okay, it feels a bit ambitious, but what about if we do ask people to write a letter every Sunday? Just, you know, a letter, doesn't matter who it's to, whether you send it, whether you post it, whether whether it's to yourself to open in the future, whether it's for your children to open in the future. It doesn't have to be for now. But, you know, what if we just ask people to do something? And then we kind of thought, well, won't people just come across it and be excited about it and then forget about it, and nobody's going to carry it on. So then we had this idea, well, what if we ask people to make a promise? Because as humans, we like to make promises, and we like to kind of feel tied to something. It allows you a level of freedom if you have a small constraint, and obviously it's a promise to yourself. We're not going to come after you if you sign a pledge and then don't write a letter every single Sunday, but it is just a little bit of it's that setting that time aside
and accountability
saying,
as well,
a gentle accountability,
yeah.
which I think you need for something like this. Otherwise it's too easy to let it fall by the wayside, and we just think that it's too important to lose.
It is so important. And back to what you said about, those earlier emails, they were okay.
Yeah.
When the digital world came in, that was fine. People have gained benefit. Like, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. But it's finding that real balance between, like night and day, light and dark. And we need more of this back into our lives. So to have just a pocket, a pause, that gentle accountability, like you said.
Yeah.
That is just precious. I mean, it's amazing. So for anybody listening, because obviously I live in a different county to you, but the idea is that lots of people are now getting involved, from what I understand.
Yes.
And tell us how that looks. So people can now post letters, not just to hit, but
exactly.
You
So it started off when we first envisaged the project, we were just thinking it would just be really simple. People write a letter every Sunday. But what happened was, as the project gained momentum, and we started, I think we had 500 signatures in the first week, and then a couple of weeks later it was 1,000, and people started saying, okay, well, I've got so many people I can write to. I'm not sure I've got somebody I can write to every single Sunday for the rest of my life. And I don't think my parents, my sister, my friends are going to write back to me. So I'm going to run out of letters to write. And so first of all, we said, well, we've got some links to this amazing charity. We're an ambassador for this amazing charity called From Me to You Letters, which facilitates sending of letters to people going through cancer treatment. So we kind of pointed people in that direction. We said you could link up with your local care home. Lots of care homes accept letters. But people were really persistent. They said, we want to write to other people in the project. You've got 1,000 people signed up now. We want to write to the other people who want to write. We want to, can you connect the letter writers?
It's that connection again, isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah, exactly.
You want to connect to a real person who might write back. And so the reason I was hesitant about setting up a kind of pen pal service was I think the world is a different place. From lots of people had pen pals when they were teenagers. I think the world's a different place, and a lot of people feel more hesitant about sharing their personal addresses. But I kind of kept thinking about it, like there's got to be a way that it can work, and it did just come to me on one of my walks, where I thought, okay, people could, a bit like the postal system, a bit like a PO box. What about if I could convince some independent shops to kind of be a PO box for their patrons in the local community? Because then that we know the magic of kind of having a conversation with an independent shop owner. It's magic. We have so many lovely conversations with our customers, and we know that's happening around the country in other independent shops too. And I think that's how we were meant to be. That's how shops used to be. You used to go in, you see the same person, a smiley face, and that's all we need sometimes. That's just that tiny glimmer of connection. So we thought, well, yeah, if people start using these shops as a PO box, then you're increasing connection in the real world and on the page. You're increasing footfall in these shops. You are getting people out of their house and onto the street and into the shops. So I thought, well, that seems like a good idea in theory, but I'm not sure that any shop is going to sign up for it, because it might be a lot to figure out and complicated. So I kind of put this slightly tentative post on Instagram saying, I've had this idea, I think it could work if if anybody thinks they can convince their local bookshop or whatever to do it. And the post just went absolutely crazy. We were sort of, I can't remember the exact figures. It's currently on over 800,000 views.
Wow.
We've got thousands of comments. I think it's 40,000 likes on the post. And that is basically people tagging their independent shops and cafes and saying, would you do this? So from off the back of that, we've already got, this is only a couple of weeks ago, but we have already got 35 shops on the network. That's UK and worldwide. So you can already if you have a shop near you, then you can write to another shop in the network, and then the idea is that you check in. It's you put your name, care of the shop, and then you check in every now and then and see if you've got any letters back. So it's
so exciting.
It is really exciting, and it's really nice. Yesterday I saw one of the shops in the US got their first letter from the UK.
Aww.
So it's really lovely to kind of see it kind of starting to actually take shape. And I think people are people are going to fall in love with letters again. I actually genuinely believe that now.
Oh, I feel it. Yeah, I think if the right energy is behind something, it just takes its own form.
Yeah.
And I think, you and Carl are holding this platform to just set this most wonderful thing. Oh, I mean, I think it's absolutely great. Honestly, it makes my whole body tingle. It's like, on Christmas morning, and you write that letter to Father Christmas,
exactly.
and the magic of believing in something you can't see is everything.
Yeah.
Like, I can never forget, like receiving the parcel from your uncle.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
You wake up in the morning and there's something there, you can connect with it. And it's just, what an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's brilliant, and I just think this is going to go absolutely, and it needs to. So, I mean, and that's why I wanted to come and speak to you to share it, and even in my area, and I'm going to speak to the local bookshops and just see if people will kind of get involved and really be part of this journey, because it's going to be so special, and we really need to tip the scales back. Yeah. We need to get that balance, that connection, that face-to-face contact.
And it just can't, that joy of a letter, it just can't compare to a notification. It was silly to think that could ever replace it, I think, when you look back at it all.
I know. Well, things come too easy now. Even I remember I was talking about this in my office a few weeks back about Blockbuster Video.
Yes.
The excitement.
Oh my gosh, yes. We had this conversation recently
about
too.
birthday parties, and oh my God, you'd be like, is there going to be a video available? Yeah. How exciting, right? You get your popcorn, you plan your night out, you go and get this movie, but now everything's on demand. Yeah. No one waits for anything at all.
And that's actually not fun. You don't make a nice special thing of it at all. It's just kind of, it's too easy.
Yeah, and it's like the message bin, whereas a letter, you have to go and check in, and then has it arrived, and just that feeling, because we need to get out of our thoughts a lot more and get into the feelings, and writing enables that heart opening space of real...
Definitely.
Like what's really here.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I've learned through the process of, I mean, the project wouldn't be where it is now without the online interaction that we've had. And initially, when in the early stages of the project, we did go back and forth over to whether to try and keep it completely offline. And I loved the idea of that. But actually, I think the people who need this are online, and so to reach anybody, if we'd kept it offline, we would have maybe made some traction, but we would have been reaching people who already knew the benefits of being offline. But I think you do see these glimmers of, I mean, I love humans. I love human interaction.
Yeah.
I love positive little glimmers that you do see, and you can see it in the comments of. There's a TikTok video that also went pretty crazy, and I think it's about 25,000 likes at the moment, and 1,000 comments. But some of those comments, I think there's something, I don't know if you're on TikTok as well, but
I haven't been on for a while, but I will look afterwards.
It's people behave differently on TikTok to Instagram. It's interesting, but I think people are a bit more vulnerable on TikTok. And so the post is talking about pen pals and writing and the importance of writing, and how we've started this project and this pen pal network. And somebody commented saying that they used to write to someone, they had someone they wrote to for 30 years, but they've died. And the outpouring of love towards this one person on the comments, so we had people replying to their comments saying, can we be your new pen pal? Can we, I think we need to get you some more letters. Would you like more letters? Would you like letters from someone else? Would you like to write to someone else? And just that kind of hope of, even though there are so many comment sections filled with hate, but there was just this really beautiful side of the internet where people are trying to connect. But I think that can only take you so far, and that's a fleeting interaction where you feel some hope about humanity. You see that and you go, okay, I believe in, I've got some hope now. But I think for it to go deeper than that, for it to be kind of this more continuous thing that lasts longer than a few seconds, that's where writing and letters can come in and kind of provide more nourishment, because I think that social media it looks like it's providing connection, but it's a bit like fast food. It scratches an itch, but it doesn't get to the deeper feeling of longing that we have for connection.
I know, because I think really ultimately everybody just wants to belong and be part of something.
Definitely.
That's the simple thing. And like you say, there's a real fine balance. Of course, that outpouring and the love that can be felt and the vulnerability of people where they're able to connect and they might not be able to, but also bringing it back to not keep it on the surface and take it to that deeper space, which is what the act of writing and connection really is doing for people.
Definitely.
God, I just think it's amazing, Rebecca. Honestly, I'm so grateful that you gave me the time to talk to you about it today. And I know this is going to be a huge movement that we really need. No, it really will. I can just feel it. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to come back into the feelings.
Yes,
I mean,
definitely.
I do a lot of well-being work, but I just think, we're in our heads too much of the time. So if we can come back into our feelings, our bodies and our real words from that heart space, it's just so powerful. And this just feels like magic. So for anybody that's listening, so the shop itself is just a pocket of wonder to visit. Wildflower illustrations, isn't it? I mean, it's actually wildflower above the door.
Yes, it does say wildflower.
And it's in Cheltenham near Montpellier. So, I mean, everybody will be able to find it now, but it's just beautiful. But outside of that, the Sunday Letter Project, how can people find out about the Sunday Letter Project and you and all you do and how to get involved, the shops? Just give everybody a bit of an overview.
Sure. So the SundayLetterProject.com is our website. And on the website, you can completely free. We wanted it to be a really accessible project. We do have some Sunday Letter Project stationery and things you can buy, but you don't have to do any of that to get involved. All you need to do to get involved in the project is go to the SundayLetterProject.com, and there's a pledge that you can sign. If you feel ready to start on Sunday, there's a pledge you can sign that basically says, I promise to carve out this time for myself every week. And once you sign the pledge, that means you're part of the project. That's it. It's as simple as that. If you want to kind of start writing, finding a pen pal, you do need to find a local shop to you that is willing to kind of perform this role of letter keeper. And I think not everyone, it's not going to be for every shop, and we totally appreciate that. It's a special kind of shop that is going to have the infrastructure behind it, and it's probably going to be a shop that's owned by independents who have the same people working there regularly, who get to know the customers. So you can ask anyone you want, but kind of we're sort of saying to people that they might not want to, and that's fine. But if you can find a shop nearby that will perform the act of letter keeper, then they need to go on our website too and sign up for that. But once you've got that in place, people are going to send an introductory letter, which is essentially you putting yourself out to the world and inviting people to be your pen pal, saying who you are, like why you're doing this, who what's important to you, what you like doing, giving a small sense of to people of who you are. And once you can choose any of the other shop and the network, so you might decide that you want a US pen pal, or one from Canada, or one from Singapore. We've got Australia, Perth in Australia. So you can send your letter to that place, and how it will work is that shop will have a little introductory basket. So that will be a basket full of pen pal letters that they've collected, and people can have a read through and kind of find one that they connect to. And once they find one they connect to, they can write back to the shop.
Oh my God, I love this. I'm definitely doing it myself, like 100%. And I think is what I've just picked up on that I think is really magical is, I mean, outside of all the other magic that's here, like I feel like, when you go to like Lapland, I only imagine that's what I feel like right now. But the independent shops, kind of, some of them are dying out because of this fast-paced world. So how lovely to invite the independents, and then they'll get more connection.
We hope so,
and more traffic into their shop. So it's like making the wheel go round.
I'm really hoping that it will, and I think I think especially for lots of bookshops have some cards, so hopefully people will go in and they'll recognise that it's nice to support their bookshop by buying a card and sending that to their pen pal too. So I think it could could hopefully
Oh.
work really well.
I just think it's everything that we need. But Rebecca, thank you so much for being with me today and giving me your time, and to Carl as well. It's your lovely shop. And yeah, you can obviously get in touch with Rebecca and Carl, visit their beautiful shop, and be part of the new movement, which is the Subday Letter Project. Rebecca, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.